Greetings, dear viewers. In the last century, the Czech Republic was a place where many inventive and skilled people dedicated themselves to designing and manufacturing motorcycles and cars. Brands like Jawa and Czech developed here, becoming famous all over the world. Here in the Czech Republic, already in the 21st century, a true boss hoss among naked bikes was designed. This monster is equipped with a 2.5-liter V6 engine producing 240 horsepower. The name of this motorcycle is FGR Midalu 2500, and I will tell you about it in detail in this episode. You are on the CrossMoto channel. Enjoy watching.
Subtitles created by Dima Torzok.
Czech motorcycles were famous all over the world, and the project we're reviewing proves that they still know how to create excellent motorcycles here. The foundations of the FGR company from the town of Ústí nad Orlicí were laid by Miroslav Felgr back in 1973. He and his friend Pavel Petracek developed a racing motorcycle with a single-cylinder engine in the 125cc class under the Perti brand in the mid-70s. Felgr participated in races on this machine. At the end of the 70s, a 250cc racing unit was created. After a break in 1992, Miroslav founded his own engineering company, dreaming of designing a new motorcycle capable of reaching the podium in the World Championship. 9 years later, he turned to designer Oldřich Kreutz, stating that he wanted to create a racing motorcycle capable of competing with giants like Honda and Aprilia. By 2004, the FGR 125 engine was ready, which was installed in a Honda chassis. A year later, their own FGR chassis was manufactured, and the team took part in the Alp Adria Cup Championship. In the following years, FGR participated in many races in Europe. In 2009 and 2010, the team managed to qualify for Moto3. The most successful year for the brand was 2011. FGR won 3 titles with the rider Karel Hanika. However, even before the first sketches of racing equipment, Miroslav had a much more ambitious idea, which few people around him believed in. He dreamed of designing a motorcycle with a high-power engine that would be different from other brands' machines and would be equipped with the most advanced parts and components. In the early 2000s, Miroslav traveled around motorcycle exhibitions in search of inspiration for his project. It is not exactly known whether FGR was inspired by racing. The engine was inspired by the Laverda V6 from 1977, but the choice was made specifically for a V6 engine layout. There are no production motorcycles with a V6 engine except perhaps for the Horex VR6, but that's not exactly a classic V engine. In general, to make the motorcycle unique, one of the rarest engine layouts in the motorcycle world was chosen. Oldřich Kreutz started designing the engine in 2005, and by 2008 the Czechs already had a working prototype, which they presented to the public. The development and construction of the FGR Midalu motorcycle chassis began in 2009. The prototype was completed by 2010. The next spring, it debuted to the public, and motorcycle journalists from major publications took several test drives. Work on the project continued. The FGR team tested the engines and chassis. Many technical and visual improvements were made to the design. The project received support from the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic. By 2016, the motorcycle had been perfected. The pre-production model debuted at the Intermot exhibition in Germany, and the manufacturer launched a pre-order system for their creation. The Czechs created a true boss hoss among naked bikes. The heart of the FGR Midalu is a 4-stroke liquid-cooled V6 engine with a 90-degree cylinder angle. The engine displacement is 2,442 cc. The cylinder bore is 90 mm, and the piston stroke is 64 mm. The compression ratio is 10:1. The 6-cylinder engine is equipped with cylinder heads, featuring dual overhead camshafts and 4 valves per cylinder. The engine produces a maximum of 240 horsepower and 203 Nm of torque. Through a 6-speed gearbox, the power is transmitted via a chain to the rear wheel. The engineers equipped this beast with excellent parts and components: the fork and rear shock absorber by Öhlins, superb Brembo radial brake calipers, an exceptional aluminum swing arm carved from a single piece of metal, OZ racing wheels, and carbon fiber parts. If the numbers don't impress you much, then the motorcycle's design will probably catch your eye. FGR abandoned traditional fairings like those on sport bikes and chose a naked style to fully showcase the monstrous V6 engine and the abundance of machined aluminum. Combined with a short rear end and the vertical 6-pipe exhaust system, Midalu looks quite aggressive. FGR made every effort to reduce the motorcycle's weight as much as possible. For example, the 18.5-liter tank was made of carbon fiber, as were several exterior panels. In dry condition, Midalu weighs 262 kg, which is comparable to the lower weight of large touring bikes and cruisers. The claimed fuel consumption is between 6 and 8 liters per 100 kilometers. The maximum speed of the Hyper-Naked is about 250 km/h, and the last characteristic that many people are interested in is its price. So, when it went on sale in 2017, they were asking only $132,000 for the Midalu. In the first year of production, FGR planned to build 6 units naturally by pre-order. At the same time, each unit was supposed to be personalized. The customer could make their own requests, from body kits to changes in the frame design, of course, within a certain range. On the motohouse.cz's website, there is an article from September 22nd with a test drive of an early running prototype of the FGR Midalu V6 for Czech journalists, published in Bike magazine. The article is very flattering, which isn't surprising since the Czech journalist is praising his fellow countrymen's work. Among the motorcycle's advantages, in addition to its immense power, precise handling, charismatic engine sound, and unmatched design, they even listed the absence of traction control and ABS as a plus. They say this allows the rider to tame the terrifying power of the V6, using only their own skills without any devilish electronic assistance. For contrast, it's worth checking out Czech forums on the development and debut of the FGR Midalu. Many participants on these forums point out that FGR designed an expensive toy for exhibitions and the garages of rich people, including using funds allocated as a government grant, basically with taxpayers' money. Many people did not appreciate this kind of flag-waving patriotism. There are also questions about the technology itself. Yes, the Midalu V6 is definitely a charismatic power naked. However, the comparison made by a certain journalist between it and the Boss Haus among sports bikes, in my opinion, is incorrect. Modern sports bikes are much lighter than the creation of the Czech company and are capable of delivering similar power from a 1-liter engine. Yes, they have less torque, but that doesn't stop them from riding and accelerating faster than the FGR motorcycle. I don't rule out that the V6 has great potential. However, regardless of such capabilities, it's much more appropriate to compare it with power cruisers, like the Triumph Rocket 3 or the Yamaha VMAX 1.7. The classes of these machines are somewhat different, but their main goal is basically the same: to give the rider a sense of unstoppable power between their legs. And the average person would rather spend 40 grand on a brand new Rocket 3, by the way, with an engine of the same displacement, or about 15,000–20,000 on a VMAX on the secondary market. There's a question about the engine. The ideal balance for a V6 is achieved with a cylinder bank angle of 60 degrees. You can understand the FGR engineers. They wanted to lower the center of gravity, leave more space for the intake system, and avoid making the engine too tall. Apparently, that's why they made a compromise and settled on a 90-degree angle. There's also the question of rider comfort on the Midalu. The engine is quite wide, and the rider has to hug the rear 3 cylinders with his legs, spreading his knees wide apart. It's probably also very warm for them. However, these are just nitpicks. Miroslav Felgr and his team have undoubtedly created an outstanding piece of motorcycle engineering, a brutal and powerful bike with an extremely rare engine for the industry. However, due to its limited production, which results in a huge price tag, the fate of this creation, of which only about a dozen were made, is to gather dust in the garages of Arab sheikhs or in the garage of Jay Leno. Basically, that's the fate of many interesting and expensive projects. FGR Midalu V6 is an excellent image product that contributed to the development of the company's technologies and brought it much more fame than it had before. What can I say? The project caused quite a stir in the media, at exhibitions. And now that the brand has become more well-known, it has a much better chance of entering the market with simpler and more affordable motorcycles for a wider range of consumers. That's it for now. You've been watching the Cross Moto channel. See you next time.